It's time to hear from another voice, a female voice. Again this time, of happenings that took place around Fort LaBeouf. And this mystery, little ones, pay attention. You might think in terms of trying to solve this one. It is told by Karin Davidson.
Jacob saw the cloud of dust and knew that something exciting was happening. No rider would come in at that speed unless something very important was happening. The Waterford Pike was a major route from Lake Erie down to the troop garrisons in Pittsburgh, and he instinctively knew that it had to have something to do with the war. From his vantage point, he could see a crowd forming around the rider, and he raced to the town center. The rider was still mounted when Jacob arrived. He was shouting something and spinning his horse around as if there was something trapped under his feet. "It's gone!" the rider shouted as he slapped his tri-cornered hat on his leg. "How could it be gone? How could you lose something so valuable to the war effort?" the colonel shouted at the hapless rider. "I don't know, sir. One of the men tied it onto the saddle. It was still there when we switched mounts up at Fort LaBeouf. At least I'm pretty sure it was." "Pretty sure?" roared the colonel. "I'll have your head for this. That is if the British don't get it first. Have you any idea what it was?" "No, sir, I don't. They just gave me the dispatch and I rode as hard as I could to get here." "Not much point in Meadville being a supply depot if you don't even know what anyone needs, now is it?" the colonel snorted and walked back into the warehouse. Jacob had worked his way through the crowd to stand beside the rider. As the rider dismounted, Jacob took the reins of the animal and offered to wipe it down and stable it. "That would be great, lad. I suspect I'll have to put this poor animal through another run and get a second set of orders at the port," he said as he shook his head and slapped his hat down onto the palm of his hand. "Begging your pardon, sir, but just what does this thing look like?" Jacob asked. "Well, it's dark brown leather roll, maybe about the size of your arm." "Which way did you come in before you got to town? Came down through Waterford, of course. There's still a garrison at the old Fort LaBeouf, so there was a better chance that the British wouldn't be in the area." "Who'd you see there?" Jacob questioned. "You sure ask a lot of questions, boy. Can't say as I feel much like talking about this mess, though." "Yeah, I suppose so, but getting it out is the only way to find the clues to what happened. I guess I'm not doing much else right now, and it seems like you're the only one that wants to talk to me. Okay, here, let's see. Henry Dupree switched horses, and his son put the saddle on this big black." "Dupree? That's an odd name for these parts." "He's French. Fought the British during the Revolution and stayed here and made a home. Even wished me luck getting the dispatch down to Meadville. Let's see. There was a woman who came up just as I remounted and offered me a pint. Told her I couldn't, though, since I needed a clear head." "Where was she standing when she talked to you?" "She was by my leg, looking up at me." "Oh no, you think she was a British sympathizer, don't you? I can't believe I let her next to my horse." "One thing at a time, mister. So, you didn't secure the dispatch in Erie. Then a Frenchman and his son transferred the saddle and wished you luck. Finally, a woman walked up to you and offered you a drink while you sat on your horse. Yeah, that sums it up, I guess, but that doesn't tell us who took the dispatch." "Where'd you stop?" Jacob asked. "Couldn't stop, not with needing to get it here." "No, sir, you had to stop. Your horse couldn't have come all this way without stopping for water." "Well, yeah, I guess you're right about that. You stopped at a farm around Cambridge and then came down by some creek just before town." "Well, I can help. I know these parts pretty good, and I know a lot of shortcuts." "Shortcuts won't do no good, boy. It's out there along the highway somewhere or stolen by someone along the way, and I doubt if I can get much done by nightfall." "Then it will take two of us," Jacob replied as he splashed water down the horse's side. "Your horse will be ready to ride soon, and you're not going to run him hard if you expect to spot it." "Guess you're right, boy. Okay, here's what else I remember." He began to better tell Jacob the direction he had come, and gave a better description of the sector roll. It was dark brown, it had a gold band on the roll, and it was sealed with red wax. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Jacob almost jumped with excitement. He was too young to be even a military drummer boy, but now he would be able to join the war effort. He wasn't even born during the Revolutionary War, but now in 1812 the British were back, and war was all around the country again. He heard that they'd even burned buildings in Washington, and that just made him hopping mad. I'll walk this horse, you walk this horse slow up the hill, and I'll get mine and meet you topside. Don't worry, mister, we'll find that thing. Wish I believed it as much as you, but I guess this is all we can do. Jacob ran as fast as his legs could carry him and felt as if his lungs would burst. His dad's old plow horse wasn't too much to look at, but Jacob knew she was about to become a war hero. When he crossed the hilltop, he saw the rider moving slowly up the hill, crossing side to side in the road. Listen, mister, we got plenty of daylight left, and if I'm right, then we'll get it in a couple of hours and you can be a hero again. If we find it, I'm not the one that's going to be the hero. That'll be you, boy. I'll still get in a kick in the pants. But the rider smiled for the first time. See, mister, even now you believe we're going to do it. Yeah, I guess you're starting to get to me. What's the next plan, he asked. Well, you're going to keep moving up the hill and I'm cutting over the hill. I'll meet you where the road crosses the Cussawa Creek. Jacob urged the big farm horse over the crest of the hill as the soldier walked his down the highway. It took Jacob about 45 minutes to reach the creek. He hopped off the mare, then led her up the creek bed. Jacob had walked for about an hour as the shadows began to darken the creek bed, and he hoped that the sun would hold it out just a little longer. It was then the sun rays hit what he was hoping for. He saw a glint next to some reeds as the creek bends from the little pocket of swirling water. He dropped the reins and splashed towards it. The wax seal had done its job, and the gold-trimmed packet bobbed on the water just as Jacob had imagined. Grabbing the packet, he rushed back to the horse, gave her neck a big hug, and jumped aboard. Shouting, he galloped up the edge of the stream toward the rendezvous. The dispatch rider sat waiting nervously at the creek's junction when he first heard the shouts. They became louder until he could finally see the boy charging at him. "I got it! I got it!" he screamed over and over. "How'd you do it, boy? How'd you even know where to look?" he asked excitedly. "Well, it's pretty simple. The folks at Erie had to make sure you had it because there was more than one there. The Frenchman couldn't have done it because he'd already fought the British and wouldn't change now. The woman came up from the front, so she couldn't have reached back and taken it. Besides, they wished you luck when you left Waterford, so you had it then. It was walking your horse into the creek that told me. That creek is hard to get into from the north side, and your horse had to twist around some. It slipped off and floated down the stream. Okay, hero. You may just have saved the Battle of Lake Erie."